Hey there, my friends. This is Kelly Schaefer of the Concierge Academy. And in today's video, I'm going to answer a question that was submitted by Lynn. And I thought it was such a great question, especially this time of year. And the question she submitted was, what are the best ways to organize documents for tax purposes? And in this video, I am going to start out with the basics, the simplest of simplest systems, and then we're going to build up from there to more advanced strategies that might be a little more complex, but also might be more efficient as you grow, as your business grows, or as you adopt more technology. So when I first started my business, technology was very new to me. And technology, I always told myself, I don't know tech. I'm not good at technology. And because of that, I always used systems that were easy for me to implement. So the easiest thing for me to implement, and even though I wasn't a very techie person, I was always a very organized person. And even in my paper management, I always kept really neat folders and files in old-fashioned filing systems. Nowadays, a lot of us keep our files and so forth online, but back then, everything was still in paper. And so the easiest way, especially if you're just getting started, to keep your paperwork in order and organize your documents for tax purposes is simply having just a specific folder that you keep all of your receipts in it. So for this video, we're going to talk specifically more around keeping track of receipts that you have for your own business, your expenses, things that you pay out of pocket, and those sorts of things. So very simply, you have a folder, you name it your business name, and then when you have receipts, print them out. I liked to print everything out, and then I would take a print out of it and I would put it into the folder. Very simple. Also, keep a folder on my computer in my email that's literally labeled the year. So we're in year, as of the recording of this video, I'm in year 2024. So in the beginning of 2024, I keep a folder that says Accounting 2024. So before I took my business more online and I was still printing things, I would print it and then I would save the email receipt in that folder just in case I needed a backup. This way, at the end of the year, I had everything that I needed in one place, and then I would just spend some time categorizing and going through it, and it would just take me an hour or so to separate it for my accountant. The next level of that, to enhance that, but still staying pretty simple, is having multiple folders. Then what I did is I had multiple folders and would put little separators in them, very simple, and just categorize them by the different categories of expenses in the business. So for example, this one right here says expenses, supplies, and clerical needs. So if this was, again, my fake receipt here, if this receipt was for supplies or office supplies or clerical supplies of some kind, I would take the receipt and I would put it in that folder. This way it's already separated. At the end of the year, I can pull all of these together and say, this is how much I spent on office supplies. The same thing if I had networking costs. When you're building a business, you might have a lot of networking costs, networking luncheons, coffee dates, those type of expenses. Also, you might have expenses where you are part of memberships, where you are part of maybe a chamber of commerce or a women's group or a business group. In that same thing, I would have a folder and it would say networking expenses or memberships, and then those receipts that I would pay, I would put the receipts into the folder. Again, this just helped at the end of the year when I needed to classify the different types of expenses. It made it really easy for me to just count up, this is everything I spent on networking. This is everything I spent on coffee dates. This is everything that I spent for office supplies. This is everything I spent for advertising. This is everything I spent for maybe social media help. This is everything I spent, all my receipts for gas. And then this way it was very clean and clear. Then as that went on, and I did that for many, many years because it was a system that I could keep up with. I didn't want to start a system that was too hard for me to keep up with. So what I often did is I have a one simple file box, and all of my paperwork and so forth would go in that file box. And then once a week, sometimes once a month, I'd go through the file box. Whatever receipts were in there, I would go and I would categorize the receipts. This way, at the end of the year, I have them all together. Then at the end of the year, I would pull all of the receipts out of all the files and folders. Once my accountant had everything that they need, I would put them all in an envelope like this. You can see right here, like this is 2023 tax documents. Now these are uploaded because now I'm using things online. And then I would save the taxes for the end of the year. Then as I started to embrace technology, I started going the next level. So the next level is going digital. So going digital is where you can then scan your documents and then store them digitally. So when I first started storing things digitally, I saved things in Dropbox. You can use Google Drive, you can use Evernote, you can use Dropbox. I use Dropbox for other things, so I just used Dropbox because I was already using it for other reasons. So then what that looked like was either A, scanning from my printer and uploading them into a folder online, or taking pictures from my phone of things like receipts and sending them to the folder online. The thing with going digital that most of us forget about is once you figure out a system that works for you, let's say you're using old-fashioned paper, just convert that old-fashioned paper system you have over to your digital system. So for example, let's say you have one big folder that's for 2023 or 2024, or whatever year you're in for all of your receipts. Then online, you would have a folder that would say taxes, and then under that folder you'd have a subfolder for that year. So let's say it's 2023 or 2024, you have that tax folder, and then inside that you might also have categories: networking expenses, office supplies, membership fees, social media fees, legal fees, like whatever it is, those categories. Again, those categories are categories that would traditionally match with the categories that you run through the business. So that became my next way of doing it. Then as I became even a little bit more advanced, I started to use a software that used to be called Receipt Bank. It's now called Dext. It's D-E-X-T. And that is like a housing site for all of my receipts. And so if I have a digital receipt that I get through my email, I can just forward it to my Dext account and it puts it there. And then if I buy things out and about, or let's say I have to go to the post office and I get a physical receipt versus a computer or emailed receipt, I just take a picture of it, I write some information on the top of it, and then I take a picture of it and I just send it in. And then I don't keep the paper receipts the way I once did, because now there's copies of them and they're all digitally housed in this unit. I started using that when I hired a bookkeeping team. This way, my bookkeeping team had access to the same receipts I did without a lot of extra work. So that is how I went from just starting out using paper to now being almost completely digitalized. So there are a few little advanced tips that I want to offer you too. You can categorize all your receipts and expenses. You can use things like, one of my favorites is QuickBooks, and there's even a QuickBooks Self-Employed app that you can use. It's really user-friendly, and there are tons of videos online to help you set it up and use it. And then just set up like a monthly or a weekly reminder. My process is on Fridays. I have what's called a Financial Friday process. So anything that's money related always just sits until Friday, and then I do it all on a Friday. So anytime I have to upload receipts, pay bills, balance checkbooks, send invoices, get paid for invoices, all of that happens during my Financial Friday time. Okay, so I want to encourage you to choose the level that works best for you and then build up from there. There are so many systems out there. You just have to pick the one that just feels easy to use, because if it's easy to use, then it's something that you will do repeatedly over and over again, and consistency is key. So, my friends, what is the process that you are currently using? And then I'm also going to put a link below to another video I did right here, where I talk about how to manage your clients' receipts for tax time as well. And that'll help bring this entire conversation together for you. All right. Thank you, Lynn, for submitting the question. And like always, friends, if this video was helpful, please hit up the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss any other upcoming episodes.